It's about one myth of a Greek myth. It's about one king. One, Exposition is the name of the king, and he wants to cut down one sacred tree, the most sacred tree in the sanctuary of Demeter. But it was like an incredible forest with a huge tree in the middle. The most important one was a tree about that goddess. And when he wanted to cut it for make a lunch room, like a dinner room, like a so exquisite and expensive place, and everyone told him to don't do that, to don't cut that tree because it's sacred and he doesn't mind. It's about capitalism, you know, and he cut it down, and then Demeter talked with another goddess. It's the goddess of anger, eternal anger, and that goddess possesses Exposition, the king, and then he have hungry eternal, and doesn't matter if you eat a lot, doesn't matter because will be like he never be enough of food and he always be so angry. It's about capitalism, nature and femininity. You know, we are fighting about nature and femininity, and it's about the relation with what we are. We are in connection with everything. We are not outside the environment. We are not outside of the cycles of seasons and cycles of all the subjects, plants, animals, minerals. We capitalize the environment as its subjects. We capitalize as well the power of images. That we can see in Renaissance. We start to take the knowledge and the aesthetics of ancient times, no, Greek and Roman periods, and we mix it for make our justification or what we are, you know, and we are like outside of everything, and we are only in our minds. We are not here in the matter. Matter, it's about super terram. Matter, it's about to be here. We need to sacralize again, re-sacralize again the nature. Humanity, it's come from the word in etymology, it comes from humus. Humus, it's the ground, the soil. It's the conscious we will come back to the ground. The first image you see, it's a display of one sacred sculpture, like a virgin or something you never know, because you only see the backside. And the backside, it's empty. It's something like a box, empty box, and they are hanging a palm tree, make it in bronze, from the top, like it's his head. You want to see, but you can't see it. You only see the backside. Here in Paris, we have the Museum of Louvre. In that museum, they have two sculptures from Renaissance, French Renaissance, are Diana d'Anet, and another one is the Three Grasses of the sculpture Hermann Pauline. It's the representation of the three grasses, but more like slaves, because they are like tied to the pedestal, and the symbolism of the three grasses is as well the fidelity of the citizens of France, the humans. There are three bodies mixed with plants, and that plants, you never know if she are turning plants or the plants are turning her, but at the end, that bodies are making some kind of movement on the soil. There are like some decays or trash that are poisoning the soil, they're poisoning the environment. Diana d'Anet is a huge sculpture. It represents the goddess Diane, a goddess of hunting. Diana de Poitiers was the lover of Henry II, one king of France, and they make it like a huge sculpture of her. Why it's a perversion for me? Because Diana, it's a goddess of hunting, but before was the goddess of savage nature and femininity, was Artemis. That sculpture, it's like, the power of the vanity of someone, because at the end, I'm the lover of the king, I'm the most beautiful, and I'm like a goddess, the goddess of hunting. Closer of Diana, you have a mirror, and if you see some light come from inside of the mirror, and if you come closer, you can see that lights and that spots of light. And if you are more closer and you are almost touching your reflection, you can see a landscape. You will see one room, totally white, with a lot of light, with one carrot dead oak, put it in the middle. A bit decay is in transformation. The surface of the tree starts to be one landscape in itself. The backside, you see something fixed on the surface. It's one head, make it in bronze, and it's kissing the tree, or it's biting the tree, it's eating the tree. It's so important to feel it, to be in us, like the empathy about all that environments, all that subjects. And that it's about the emotional, something more emotional. That relation is God. It's the empty space between us, that is God. It's the possibility of the relations. In Renaissance, we start to put it the man in the center of the cosmos and leave it God in one side. Nothing is more sacred than the body, because when someone dies or one body dies, nothing is more transcendental than the decay, because it's when you spread in everywhere and you will come back with everything. God, the soil, the earth, the landscape. And to be landscape, nothing can be more beautiful than come back to the landscape.
It started from an old sofa I found, and I cut it in half, and then I rebuilt the middle part to climb over a lamp. So it just kind of like goes over the lamp. And that was the whole concept, which is not really a concept at all, but just a simple design for a dysfunctional object. So I wanted to reorganize this simple thing, where usually you have a lighting or artwork that goes around the sofa, and then the sofa instead becomes the thing that has to move around other smaller objects. Often I'm just interested in what I can find, what's around, what's laying around. And it just worked out really well because there were a lot of furniture objects, and it just triggered ideas about, things that have been lingering in my mind. And it was like this nice opportunity to work on a few different projects involving found, discarded pieces of furniture. There are things that you can fix and repair and keep for forever, like they last forever. There's this idea of embodiment, of when you make something, your energy is tied to the thing. When I see one of these things, I see 100, 200 hours of time of someone's intense focus put into the thing, and I cut it and it hurts a little bit because I've done that job and I've made those things of furniture. Dark in here, but yeah, I just start cutting it up because I have this thing about cutting pieces up and making them unrecognizable or less recognizable than they would be, but still really very familiar. So I'm interested in this alteration and what that does in the brain. When I was a kid, I discovered a box once, and it had something in it, and I was just staring at it. I couldn't figure out what I was looking at, and it turned out it was a chopped up dog. And it took me a minute to just understand it because I couldn't recognize it. But I knew I recognized it, but I couldn't put it together, you know? It was literally taken apart and reorganized in this box. I've always kind of been fascinated with this moment of just looking at something. I know what it is, but I don't understand why it's organized the way it is or something. I see that in a lot of just things, design especially. Why things are organized the way they are, the lifestyle, how we move around things, live with things, and yet they're really special to us, but yet we have like a lost connection to them in the way that they're made and the materials and their history. So yeah, for this I'm using old things, recycled things, and kind of trying to give them a sense of life or purpose. I have this idea that in the future, like somehow all design is going to be completely unified in a way, and things like these simple individual chairs won't really exist. I was wondering, how do I connect all of these individual isolated forms? Like one chair, you know, to symbolize how we are connected, disconnected, in this tangle, in this mess. I don't know, it's a nice opportunity to try to talk about some things that are important to us or to me, which end up becoming kind of personal, and I think have little to do with maybe art, but more to do with bigger questions about our relationships and how we live, what we do, basic things. The other piece is a fountain. It's like a simple fountain made from an old, used, kind of dirty chair, a sofa chair. And the cushion is lifted up a little and you hear this nice water sound in the chair. And then on the floor there are cutouts of people from carpets. You can lay down on them and like listen to the chair. And it's kind of making fun of therapeutic interior design junk that you can buy for your house. But yeah, all the things that we use to kind of make ourselves comfortable, which are nice. I love that there's importance placed on this, like in people's lives. Like I get into trouble or yelled at in my house all the time if I do something, like I put something in the wrong place, or I'm always just making a mess or doing something like this in the house. And it creates complete chaos, and people can't stand it. To me, it's interesting, like these spaces we live in and how they have to be certain ways, or it just like breaks us. We can't handle it, and it's something so silly. I don't know. I'm interested in this. It's just that how we live, why we have these crazy expectations of meaningless things. I don't know.
Et je l'ai pris comme une manière de faire quelque chose de plus libre que ce que je fais d'habitude, où je suis cantonné à faire en général des enfants avec des couleurs vives et sympathiques. Et là, je me suis laissé la liberté de faire quelque chose de très différent. Je suis allé depuis 10 ans, je me suis rendu pratiquement tous les ans en Ukraine. Donc j'ai vu les transformations du pays, j'ai vu ce qui s'était passé et j'ai notamment peint 2 années consécutives dans une école qui se trouve dans le Donbass, donc qui était en zone de guerre à l'époque. Et c'est une école où j'ai travaillé avec les enfants qui ont grandi pratiquement toute leur vie pendant la guerre. Puisque la guerre a commencé en 2014 et moi je m'y suis rendu donc en 2017 et 2019. Et l'œuvre que je vais faire ici parle de ça. Pour cette installation, je me suis inspiré du travail d'une peintre ukrainienne, une peintre paysanne, qui s'appelle Maria Primachenko, et qui est une artiste naïve, un peu comme le douanier Rousseau en France, qui dessinait des monstres, des choses comme ça. J'ai repris ces personnages et que j'ai transformé comme un module qu'on met au-dessus des berceaux pour les enfants. Ce qu'il faut savoir, c'est que les monstres que je reprends, le titre des œuvres, ont tous un rapport à la guerre. Il y en a un qui s'appelle la bête de guerre, il y en a un autre qui s'appelle, je ne sais plus, enfin qui parle de la guerre nucléaire, il y en a un qui s'appelle juste la guerre, enfin voilà. Ces personnages représentent la guerre et les malheurs qui en découlent. C'est bien ?
Ouais, très bien.
Je pense qu'aujourd'hui, notamment en Ukraine, puisque j'ai des amis là-bas, tous les artistes sont concernés par ce qui se passe. Et ça, bien entendu, quand on est dans une période de chaos comme ça, où il y a tant de souffrance, mais aussi d'espérance, et ben, c'est là que l'art arrive à son summum, quoi. C'est-à-dire que tout le monde crée. C'est un défouloir, mais c'est aussi une manière de créer une unité dans le pays, de parler aux autres, de parler... C'est très important, oui. Aujourd'hui, on vit une grande période de transformation, puisque en Europe, on n'aurait jamais imaginé, il y a 1 an, qu'on allait avoir une guerre de haute intensité à nos portes, enfin, à nos portes en Europe, et qui est le début un peu pour moi de la guerre de l'énergie, enfin pas pour moi seulement, pour les spécialistes aussi, et qui annonce un nouveau cycle aujourd'hui. Et donc, voilà, c'est l'idée de transformation vers quelque chose d'autre. On ne sait pas encore aujourd'hui où on va aller, ce qui va se passer. Et c'est pour ça que je trouve qu'il était quand même important pendant cette période d'en parler dans une exposition artistique. Et puis le rapport à la terre, c'est aussi parce que cette peintre dont je me suis inspiré était fermière. Donc elle cultivait la terre. Elle a toujours vécu à la campagne. Et la meilleure terre d'Europe, enfin toujours aujourd'hui, c'est le Tchernosium, c'est la terre ukrainienne, que les nazis avaient emmené quand ils avaient envahi l'Ukraine en wagon entier pour la mettre en Allemagne et pour la cultiver. Et c'est une terre très riche qui aujourd'hui nourrit l'Afrique aussi, puisque une des conséquences de la guerre, ça a été l'arrêt des exportations de céréales. Bon, finalement, ils ont réussi à des machins, mais la terre, ça reste quand même le centre de tout ça, quoi.